Hey, I'm Brittany, and I've got a story that's a real roller coaster, full of highs, lows, and a lot of heartbreak. I'm 33, and until recently, I was a cosmetologist at an upscale downtown clinic. It wasn't a bad gig, good pay, great clients, and I loved helping people feel better about themselves. But in the back of my mind, I always dreamed of having my own business. Now, let me tell you about the other person involved in this mess, my husband. Well, ex-husband now, but we'll get to that later. Let's call him Jack. Jack is 5 years older than me and had been working as a manager for a major construction company. We were married for 3 years and lived in my apartment. "Babe, you've got this," Jack would say, lounging on the couch with a beer in hand. "Owning your own place, it's the dream. You'll be the boss, set your own hours." I'd nod, feeling excited. "Yeah, but it's going to take a lot of work and money to get there." Jack would wave me off. "Don't worry about that. I've got it covered. You focus on building your business." So I started saving. Every single penny I could. No more nights out, no shopping sprees, nothing. I was laser focused. "Deez, Brit, relax," Jack would grumble when I turned down takeout for the third time that week. "Every dollar counts, Jack," I'd respond, reheating leftovers. "We agreed on this." He'd grumble but eventually agree. Yeah, you're right. It'll all be worth it in the end." Now a bit about Jack's past. He'd been married before. He told me he left his apartment to his ex-wife after their divorce. They'd been together for 5 years, but beyond that, I didn't know much. Whenever I tried to ask more, he'd get tight-lipped. Months passed, and I finally felt ready to make the leap. I quit my job at the clinic, got my license, found a small space, and began renovations. It was a grind, deciding on equipment, setting everything up. After what felt like forever, I was ready to open. I worked nonstop, barely seeing Jack. When I left for the day, he was still in bed. When I got home, he was passed out on the couch. Then, one day, while doing a facial, my phone started buzzing like crazy. At first, I ignored it, but when it wouldn't stop, I got nervous. What if something happened to Jack? As soon as my client left, I checked my phone. 5 missed calls from my mother-in-law, Sandra. My stomach sank. Sandra never called unless it was serious. I called her back, heart racing. "Sandra, what's going on?" "Brittany, thank God." Her voice quivered. "I've been trying to reach Jack all day. There's a scandal at his work, and I can't get a hold of him. I'm really worried." My heart stopped. "What scandal? What's going on?" "I don't know," Sandra answered. "He hasn't said anything. Please, if you hear from him, tell him to call me." That night, I waited for Jack to come home. He finally stumbled in around midnight, smelling like beer. "Where have you been?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "Your mom's been calling all day. Something about a scandal at work." Jack froze, then slouched onto the couch, avoiding my gaze. "I should have told you sooner. I quit my job about a month ago." I was shocked. "A month? And you didn't think to tell me? Why?" "I had a fight with my boss," Jack muttered. "He was being an ass, and I couldn't handle it anymore. My pride wouldn't let me stay." I was speechless. Here I was, busting my butt every day, and Jack had been at home this whole time. "Why haven't you looked for another job?" I asked. Jack looked at me, his eyes filled with frustration. "I'm burned out, Britt. I need a break, maybe see a therapist or something. I just can't face another job right now." A part of me wanted to yell. We had a plan. He was supposed to be supporting us while I got my business off the ground. But looking at him, slumped and defeated, I just couldn't bring myself to get angry. "Okay," I said finally, "we'll figure this out, but no more secrets, Jack. We're supposed to be in this together." He nodded, relieved. "I'm sorry, Britt. No more secrets." Little did I know, that promise wouldn't last long. The weeks that followed were tough. I picked up extra shifts at the clinic, working mornings at my office and afternoons at the clinic. It was exhausting, but we had bills to pay and a loan to repay. Jack, meanwhile, stayed home looking for jobs, but mostly playing video games. I tried to stay supportive, reminding myself that mental health mattered. But as the weeks turned into months, I started wondering if he was really trying at all. Then, one day, Jack came home with a huge smile on his face. "I got a job," he announced. I was so relieved, I nearly cried. We celebrated that night with wine, toasting to new beginnings. For a moment, I thought everything was going to work out. Jack's new job lasted all of a month. One day, I came home from a long shift to find him lounging on the couch, beer in hand, staring at the TV. "You're home early," I said, a sinking feeling in my stomach. He shrugged, not looking at me. "I quit." I felt my heart drop. "Why?" "The boss was," Jack muttered, "too controlling. I'm not going to be some robot." I took a deep breath. "Jack, we can't keep doing this. We can't afford for you to keep quitting jobs." Jack finally looked at me, his eyes cold. "What? So I'm supposed to be miserable? I thought you'd understand." I bit my tongue, fighting the frustration that was building inside me. But deep down, I was boiling. He was at home, drinking beer, while I was working myself to the bone. The next 6 months were a blur of stress, work, and mounting frustration. I come home to find Jack in the same spot, surrounded by empty cans and takeout boxes. "Any luck with the job search?" I'd ask, trying to keep the desperation out of my voice. "Nothing good," he'd reply, dismissing me. "I'm looking for something interesting, good pay but not too demanding." I wanted to scream. Everyone wanted that job, but they didn't just fall into your lap. You had to work for them. By now, I was questioning everything: our relationship, our future. I'd sacrificed so much for my business, and Jack had become a weight dragging me down. One evening, after a tiring day, I returned home to find Jack unusually animated, his eyes gleaming with excitement. "Britt," he began, pulling me down onto the couch. "I've been thinking, we should have a baby." I blinked, sure that I had misunderstood. "Wait, what?" "Yeah, just think about it," he said, grinning. "I'll stay home with the baby and you can go back to work. It's perfect." I was stunned, unable to process his words. "Jack, you've never even washed a dish in this apartment. How are you going to care for a baby?" His expression faltered. "What, you think I can't handle it?" "It's not that," I replied, trying to keep calm. "Taking care of a baby is hard work, and we're not in a good place financially right now." He sighed, sounding hurt. "You're being really cruel. You don't understand my struggles." I let out a short, bitter laugh. "Your struggles? I'm working 7 days a week, completely drained, and you think adding a baby will make things better?" He stormed off, slamming the bedroom door. I sat there, hands on my head, trying to make sense of it all. This had all started with the video games. At first, I hadn't thought much about it. Everyone has hobbies, right? But soon, our joint account was bleeding money. "Jack," I said one night, my voice tense, "did you buy another game and upgrade your computer?" Without looking up, he replied, "Yeah, so what? It's our money, right?" I took a deep breath, trying to stay composed. "We're supposed to be saving for our future, remember?" He paused the game, turned to me with a fox innocent expression. "Babe, it's an investment in my free time. Don't worry, I'll pay it all back once I get a job." That was the breaking point. The next day, I closed our joint account and stopped giving him money. If he wanted to act like a child, fine, but I wasn't his personal ATM anymore. The arguments began almost immediately. Jack stomped around the apartment, slamming doors. "You don't respect me," he shouted. "You're trying to control me." "I'm just trying to keep us afloat." I'd reply, "We can't keep spending money we don't have." But nothing changed. Dishes piled up, laundry was neglected, and takeout containers cluttered the place. I was working myself into the ground, while Jack couldn't even bother to vacuum. Then, one day, everything shifted. I got home early, a migraine pounding in my head. As I neared the door, I overheard Jack talking. "Yeah, Mom, I need a new suit for this amazing job I got," he was saying. "Could you lend me some cash? I'll pay you back once I get my first paycheck." I froze. "New job? What new job?" I burst through the door, catching him off guard. "What new job, Jack?" He scrambled to come up with an excuse, but I had caught him red-handed. "You were going to take money from your parents for a job that doesn't even exist?" I demanded, furious. I was going to tell you," he mumbled. "Tell me what? That you're lying? That you'd rather scam your parents than actually get a real job?" The argument that followed was ugly. We yelled, we cried, and we said things we'd regret. In the end, Jack stormed out, grabbing a bag and heading to his parents' place. I sat there on the floor, feeling lost. I had built my career, gotten everything together, but here I was, married to a man who seemed intent on pulling us under. The next few days were strange. I kept waiting for Jack to come back, apologized, and promised to do better. But as the days passed, there was no sign of him. No calls, no texts. Part of me felt relieved. The apartment was peaceful for the first time in forever. But another part was worried. What if something had happened to him? Just as I was about to call his parents, my phone rang. Jack's name appeared on the screen. I answered, my heart racing. Jack, where are you? Are you okay? His voice was annoyingly upbeat. Hey babe, guess where I am? Las Vegas. Can you believe it? Mom's always wanted to visit, so we thought we'd make it a family trip. It's amazing. My blood ran cold. Las Vegas. While I was here, worried sick. What do you mean, we decided? I asked, my voice trembling. When did this happen? Just spur of the moment, he said casually. I told Mom and Dad about my great new job, and we thought, why not celebrate? I gripped the phone tighter. What job, Jack? We both know there isn't one. There was a long pause, and then Jack spoke more quietly. Look, what they don't know won't hurt them. We're having a great time. I'll find a job when we get back, I promise. And how are you paying for all this? I asked, dreading the answer. Oh, don't worry about it, he said cheerfully. I borrowed a couple of your credit cards. But don't freak out. I'll bring you back a souvenir or something. Okay, have a good weekend. And then he hung up. I stood there, staring at my phone, feeling my world collapse. My husband, who had promised to be my partner, had stolen my credit cards for a vacation built on a lie. Something inside me snapped. I was done. No more second chances. With shaking hands, I opened my banking app and blocked every card. Then I called a locksmith. I need my locks changed, I said. As soon as possible. The locksmith came, and when he left, I was alone in an apartment that felt too large, too empty. But I wasn't finished. I grabbed my phone and made one final call to a divorce lawyer. Later that day, sitting in the lawyer's office, I felt a strange mix of emotions, sadness, anger, but also relief. As I signed the divorce papers, I realized this was the first step toward taking my life back. Just as I was settling in for a quiet evening, the first in what felt like forever, my phone buzzed. Jack's name appeared on the screen. I took a deep breath and answered. Britt, thank God you picked up. Jack's voice was frantic. Something's wrong with the cards. They're not working. We can't pay for anything. I felt strangely calm. That's because I blocked them, Jack. There was a stunned silence. You what? Why would you do that? Because they're my cards, Jack. I didn't give you permission to use them. But we're stranded. Mom and Dad are freaking out. You have to unblock them. I could feel the tension in Jack's voice, but I stood my ground. No, I don't owe you anything. You created this situation so you can figure out how to get yourself out of it. That's when he lost it. Are you serious? You're putting me in an impossible spot. You're my wife. You're supposed to help me with this, or I swear, I'll divorce you. I couldn't help but laugh. It started soft but quickly turned into a full-on belly laugh. One I didn't realize I'd been holding in for so long. Oh, Jack, I managed, catching my breath. You're a little too late for that threat. And I ended the call. The following day, I rented a storage unit. I packed up every single thing of Jack's, his clothes, game consoles, trinkets, and anything that reminded me of him. I put it all into boxes, then into storage. I knew he'd be back soon, expecting everything to be the same. He was in for a surprise. A few days later, my phone rang. Jack's voice was a mix of confusion and frustration. Britt, what's going on? I can't get into the apartment. Did you change the locks? Yes, I did, I replied calmly. Your stuff is in storage. I'll send you the address and unit number. Wait, what are you talking about? Let me in, Britt, this isn't funny. I took a steady breath. I'm not joking, Jack. I filed for divorce. The papers should be arriving at your parents' place soon. There was a long silence before he spoke again. Divorce? Britt, come on, you can't be serious. We can work this out. I'll do better, I promise. It's over, Jack, I said firmly. I've made my decision. Don't reach out to me unless it's through my lawyer. I hung up and blocked his number. Sitting in the quiet of my apartment, I felt a mix of sadness for what could have been, anger over the lies, and the sting of betrayal. But mostly, I felt a sense of relief. For the first time in ages, I could finally breathe. A few days later, an unfamiliar number appeared on my phone. Hesitant, I answered. "Hello," I said carefully. "Brittany, it's Sandra, Jack's mother." My stomach dropped. I braced myself for a tirade, accusations of tearing apart their family or being a horrible wife. "Sandra," I replied, trying to keep my voice steady. "I'm sorry for what happened in Las Vegas, but—" She cut me off. "No, Brittany, I should be the one apologizing. I'm so disappointed in Jack. I thought he had changed." "Changed?" I asked, intrigued. Sandra let out a long sigh. "Brittany, there's something you need to know. Jack's first marriage didn't end the way he told you. His ex-wife left him because of his irresponsibility, his lies, his inability to keep a job, his stealing." I felt the air rush out of my lungs. "He never told me." "I know," Sandra continued quietly. "We thought, hoped, living with you would help him grow up, change his ways." I could hear the sadness in her voice, and for the first time, I felt a twinge of sympathy for her. She had been deceived just like I had. "Sandra, I had no idea," I said, my voice breaking slightly. "No, Brittany," she said firmly. "I'm sorry. I'm sorry we didn't tell you the truth from the start. I'm sorry we let you go through all of this, and I am so sorry for what Jack has done to you." Tears filled my eyes. "Thank you," I whispered. "I want you to know," Sandra continued, "that when we found out the truth, how he'd been lying to you, stealing your credit cards, and pretending to have a job, we kicked him out. He's not welcome here right now." I was in shock. I'd been so worried about facing their judgment, but they were supporting me instead. "I don't blame you for divorcing him, Brittany," Sandra said. "You deserve so much better. I just hope you don't think badly of all of us because of Jack." "No, of course not," I quickly assured her. "Sandra, I've never blamed you or your husband. You've always been kind to me." We talked for a while longer, and Sandra filled me in on the details I'd missed. By the end of the conversation, I felt a weight lift off my chest. I wasn't alone in this. I wasn't crazy for feeling betrayed. In the weeks following my conversation with Sandra, life slowly began to settle into a new rhythm. I threw myself into my work, finding comfort in the routine of running my cosmetology business. Without Jack's constant drama, I had more energy, focus, and unexpectedly, money. But Jack wasn't ready to give up. One evening, as I was locking up the office, I saw a familiar figure leaning against my car. My heart sank. "Britt," Jack called out as I walked toward him. "Can we talk? I've changed, I swear. I'm looking for a real job now. I'll pay you back every cent. Just give me another chance." For a moment, I felt a brief pang of pity, maybe even nostalgia or regret. But then I remembered the lies, the broken promises, the stress, and the pain. "No," I said firmly. "I'm done giving you chances, Jack. Please leave." I brushed past him and got into my car. My hands were trembling as I started the engine. In the rearview mirror, I saw him standing there, looking lost. But I didn't look back. That was the last time I saw Jack in person. He called a few more times from different numbers, but I blocked them all. Eventually, the divorce was finalized with little more drama. And life got better. Much better. Without the constant stress of Jack's unemployment and spending habits, my finances began to improve. I was able to focus entirely on my business, and the results showed. My client list grew, and soon I was busier than I'd ever been. I made the decision to leave my part-time job at the clinic and dedicate myself fully to my business. It was scary at first, but it turned out to be the best choice I could have made. With the extra time and focus, I worked on marketing and expanding my services. I hired 2 more cosmetologists to help with the growing demand, and before I knew it, I wasn't just a cosmetologist, I was the boss. The loan I had taken out to start my business was paid off ahead of schedule. The constant worry about making ends meet, gone. For the first time in years, I felt secure. But it wasn't just about the money. I started allowing myself to enjoy life again. Weekend trips, nice dinners, treating myself to things I denied myself for so long. Now, as I sit in my expanded office, reviewing plans for a new treatment room, I can't help but marvel at how far I've come. I'm not just surviving anymore, I'm thriving. And I did it all on my own. It wasn't always easy. There were nights when I missed having someone to come home to, someone to share my successes with. But those moments grew fewer as I built a life I truly loved. Looking back, ending my marriage wasn't the end of my story, it was the beginning. It was when I chose myself, my dreams, and my future. And you know what? I'd make that choice again in a heartbeat. Thanks for watching. See you again in the next video. Stay stunned.